Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Red Pill Podcast 114. Hope you're all having a beautiful weekend out there. We have so much to get into today, talking about the setup into this week, because as of yesterday, June 3rd, Joseph Jackal Biden signed the debt ceiling bill into law, suspending the U.S. debt limit into 2025 to avert the first ever U.S. government default. What a shocker. Sure, you guys didn't see that coming. So here we are. We were anticipating something to occur to bring volatility, volume, liquidity back to this market, some excitement, change the sentiment up a little bit, and we're watching it unfold day by day. So lots to get into, but make sure you get relaxed, comfortable, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea if it's the morning, or a glass of wine, beer, or any beverage of your choice if it's the nighttime or wherever you wolves are hanging out right now. Again, so grateful to have you here with us. And if you're new here to the community, welcome. And if you haven't gotten access to the Discord yet, just go ahead and send me a direct message on Patreon with your Discord username and the last 4 digits after your username. And let's definitely try to get some more exciting coins to look at next week. So go ahead and submit some projects in the comments section below. Something that looks intriguing to you, has at least 1 year worth of chart history, and is available over on TradingView. Would love to check out some newer coins. Today we're going to be looking at potentially 5 projects. We got Cosmos, LCX, Algorand, XDC Network, and quick thoughts on Zilliqa. It's been a little bit of time since we've covered that. We got a lot of votes this week on that project, so we'll definitely be recapping and talking a little bit about a pattern that I found in the chart of ZIL. So excited to get into that. Without further ado, we are going to be getting into some just updates on what's going on in this market right now, what to anticipate as we open up this fresh new week tomorrow on Monday. And here we have the XRP chart just to kick things off and looking pretty solid. I mean, we are about to have potentially a new higher high close. Very exciting. We know that we've watched Ethereum and Bitcoin go up into this automatic rally energy. Not as epic on Bitcoin as it has been on ETH. ETH actually, and we've tracked this before, ETH pretty much it's completed what it did back in this cycle over here in 2018, 2019. Let me go to the Ethereum chart really quick to show you what I'm talking about. And we've tracked this many times. So if you're brand new to these podcasts, just make sure to go back and watch some of these. But we had this buying climax to selling climax, and then a perfect automatic rally up into this area right here, which is the 0.5 fib. And that's exactly what happened on this iteration as well. Buying climax to selling climax, 0.5 fib tested perfectly, and rejection there. So ETH has been pretty much mimicking what it did in the last cycle regarding buying climax to selling climax to AR. Bitcoin definitely has some room to go, but what was lagging behind was XRP, and we're anticipating something into the low 80-cent range as the full completion of an automatic rally. I know this looks a little messy right over here, but we have this 0.5 fib sitting at 75 cents. Let me go ahead and delete that, and you can see what I mean. Boom, right around 75 cents. And it's normal for us to have automatic rallies into this area between the 0.5 fib and the bottom of the golden pocket. And with some cryptos, it gets very volatile. It could go all the way up to the 702. So we are going to be talking about all the XRP analysis later in this podcast, but a lot of people are getting excited right now because of this buyback that we've seen. And this is definitely nice because we want to see one last opportunity to the upside for this particular project to level everything out for the crypto market. And it'll make things exciting for Stellar Lumens again. I know XDC has had a little bit of bullish energy lately, and we'll be going over that project as well today, later in the podcast. So let me just scroll over to the Bitcoin all-time chart, get things looking nice and clean, and then we're going to dive into some dates. Also, welcome to anyone who's new here. If you joined in the new month of June, it's so great to have you here with us. And as I brought up, we already had this update of the Joe Biden signing the debt ceiling bill into law, essentially suspending the U.S. debt limit until 2025. We knew that would happen. And let's go to that date. It happened yesterday, which was on a Saturday, a Saturn's day, of course. And exoterically, this would be June as your 6th month and 3rd day. Written internationally, that's 3-6, which is 3 6s, 666. They like that number a lot. And more importantly, this was a 52 date numerology. So the way that I like to do my date numerology with double digits, and you could see adding up to 52, just like I've talked about so many times, because we're in the year of the rabbit, the year of the rabbi. Well, you could see right there, rabbit giving you 52, and on a 52 date numerology, of course, that happened. So just wanted to show you that they're using this code. This is absolutely perfectly coded. They had this deadline coming in on the 5th. We talked about that in advance, but plenty of you were well aware that they needed to get this taken care of before the 5th. And, well, here we are. And we could see that the stock market on Friday really, really liked what was going on with this shenanigans, because Dow Jones ended 668 points on a single day, one of the biggest green candles I've seen in a while. We had this drawn out over here on the Dow chart, this concept, and boom, we're like, we caught up to it. And it was this idea of moving up into the end of June alongside the reaction to what we're seeing in the S&P and NASDAQ, but I don't know necessarily if we will go much higher in the Dow, just because we've pretty much completed the AR target up to the 786, and you could see that wick right over there pretty much at the end of 2022, whilst the S&P is doing exactly what I thought would happen. It is breaking into the golden pocket. Mamma mia. Just amazing that this is going down right now. Really, really wild. And it makes me happy that I came out with that World Reserve Decoded that World Reserve Decoded. I almost want to go back and rewatch it, because now, after the month of June is done, which we're just getting started right now, but at the end of June, moving into July, there could even be an opportunity for a part 3 decode. So I might have told you guys this when I was filming that podcast. I don't remember, I keep calling it a podcast, excuse me, that decode. And I was going to call it World Reserve Julius, because it was all about Julius Caesar and the month of July, which is named after him, and August, which is Augustus. Again, July and August are just named after Roman emperors. And I wanted to name it that, but I just thought, oh, maybe nobody will understand what I mean with that name. So I ended up just calling it World Reserve Decoded, and it was talking all about, you guys could go watch that. I don't want to waste your time in today's podcast, but I'm glad that I made that part 2. And I'm sure a lot of you remember when I was making my Sell in May and Go Away Decoded, I was talking about trying to find a flaw in the month of May. And that was the purpose for making that follow-up decode a couple weeks later. And it was made way far in advance to today. So just wild to watch what the S&P is doing and what the NASDAQ is doing at this exact time. The NASDAQ is shredding to the upside, literally perfectly into the 702 fib, which was my target that I shared to anticipate. We hit the target. We hit the Dow Jones target. We're in the process for the S&P. This is great. This liquidity and this energy should definitely roll over into crypto soon. And that's what we're anticipating for the end of this month as we get through the new moon, more likely. And we're going to have to see how it goes. We're not just talking here. We need data, of course. So getting back to this, I just want to bring up one of the things that I brought up in my last NBA Finals Decoded. Just came out. I hope you guys checked that out. I released it yesterday. And I talked a lot about the number 47 and the number 15. And the idea here was that it was tied to the year of the tiger, because 47, you could even see it right there, is the 15th prime number. You're going to be able to see this load up in a moment. And this 15 actually shows up in the word tiger. I talk about this all the time. And that was last year. 2022, the year of the tiger. And what's amazing is Bitcoin hit 47,000 for the last trading day ever since on Satoshi Nakamoto's 47th birthday. So in plain English, the last time Bitcoin hit 47,000 was on Satoshi's 47th birthday. Then it rolled over. And remember, 47 is the 15th prime number, and Bitcoin rolled over to $15,000. Then after that, we never traded at the 15,000 level since. So as above, so below. And this is because it's esoteric, it's making me feel like, well, that actually might be your Bitcoin bottom. And that would not be weird comparatively to last cycle and the cycle before that, where we see that about 1 year after top, we hit a all-time low in that cycle. Shouldn't call it all-time low, that would not be correct, but a low in that particular macro cycle. So yeah, fantastic find. And I talked a lot about that number. And it's just, it's something that's really amazing now that I'm seeing it analyzed in this way. And I think this rabbit code with that number 52 and 25, we're going to continue to use this year strongly. And the fact that Joe Biden signing this bill into law on that 52 date numerology, 52 in the word rabbit, it's definitely making me feel, this is wild how coded it is. Now, why this is so synchronized is because June 3rd, which is this date, the bill was signed into law, was the day leaving 211 days left in the year. And some of you might be saying, well, Waters, why are you talking about the number 47? Why are you talking about the number 15? Well, 211 is the 47th prime number. Like, you cannot make this stuff up. So after all those 47s and 15s that I spoke about in the last decode that I made, this bill was signed into law on this exact date, leaving 211 days in this year. And it's 105 days away from Rosh Hashanah. 105, you remove the 0, that's 15. 211, 47th prime. 47 is your 15 prime. Just mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing how coded this particular day was. And yeah, I mean, we see this 3663 quite often, even in our code. We know Bitcoin equals 36. You can see that right there. I forgot if Ethereum equals, yes, it does. Ethereum equals 36 in Chaldean. So your two biggest cryptos by market cap, both having the 36. Again, 36 is 3 6s, 666. Insane synchronicity. I hope you guys enjoy those gems. But that 211 code, it's making me start to remember these bigger numbers, because of course remembering all these primes is very, very difficult. It's like getting into the periodic table. It's difficult to just remember off the top of your head, but I'm doing my best, kind of like taking a little bit as I go. Of course, it's hard enough to remember the primes in the first 100 numbers, let alone when you start getting into 200, 300, etc. But yeah, I felt that was an insane synchronicity. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And also, I hope you all enjoyed that new decode on the 2023 NBA Finals. I packed that with so many gems that even if you don't like sports, you will still enjoy the decode. I went very deep into the symbolism and even broke down a theory I have regarding top athletes who receive the most prana each decade and how they're tied perfectly to the zodiac. I got really amazing feedback already on the decode, so I appreciate all the kind words and support. It really means so much to me. I'm excited to see more feedback regarding that zodiac concept that I shared as we move through the zodiac backwards because of the precession of the equinox, and how we have this theme on the world stage. And I think you could do it for everything, whether you want to do it with athletes and sports, if you want to do it with performers and music, for instance, like you could go through Elvis, you could think of like where the Beatles fit in, you could think of where Michael Jackson fits in, you could think of where Kurt Cobain fits in, and you could kind of play around with this idea. I mean, I really do see it all just being a mythological story being played out. And that's why each of those people who become so big on the world stage get ritualized. Like you've all heard about that 27 Club, right? Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse. There's probably a ton more. These people are like serving a purpose, and it's part of this big, grandiose decode story of entertainment and how these player characters are used. And there's code that's very deeply embedded into it all, whether it be their birthdays, their names, their performer name, their alias they have. And I'm really fascinated in a lot of that stuff, because when I started to get into decoding, I saw so much more merit in looking at it from that angle rather than the typical conspiratorial angle, where they want you to like give your prana to the idea of who killed Kurt Cobain, whether it was himself or Courtney Love. I mean, that stuff's fun to play around with, but once you start getting into the code, you see it for what it is, and you see how it's so tied into everything else. Play around with this stuff. Play around with the day that Kurt Cobain died versus the day Tupac died. You're going to start taking the date that John Lennon died versus the date Elvis died, and you see some pretty wild stuff. So anyways, I don't want to get too off the rails here, but that's how you have fun with this decoding stuff. That's how you make it something that has an ability to be connected to all things, as we try to do with even these sports decodes. I take these sporting events and I try to apply the code that I'm getting from them to what could happen in the markets, because that's what I'm focused on right now. And you're going to be able to do this with everything. You will be able to know how the market is going to perform based off the prior Olympics opening ceremony. I promise you, that's how coded in this whole world is. You could be able to take the negative and the positive aspects from all these things. And after watching the Year of the Tiger and the Cincinnati Bengals losing twice in their Super Bowl and the last playoffs, making it almost all the way, it's obvious to me that they're just playing around with this Chinese zodiac, and it's coded in as well. So there's so many systems that are coded in, and we're pretty damn close to nailing it, And I think with this Bitcoin automatic rally cycle, once we get through this moment, the predictability is going to get so much more noticeable, with what we've seen post halving, leading into a halving, every 4 years in Q4, 1 year later after that, the timing of the automatic rally with the eclipses. I mean, damn, like we really have a serious strategy going on here. We're not going to be perfect. That's not even the point. It's not about perfection. It's about learning along the way, and it's about taking notes, and really applying these things conservatively and not getting emotional, not being an emotional trader. So I hope you guys enjoy these words of wisdom, because it's sometimes important to slow down and remind ourselves of this stuff again. So getting back to some of the dates, tomorrow, June 5th, tied to Rosh Hashanah by 103 days. You guys have probably heard me bring this up before. This 103 is very significant. It's the 27th prime number, tied back to Jupiter being 27, the king of the gods, Zeus, the ruler of this age, Pisces. Even Jupiter has the 36. But where I wanted to go directly with the 103, because this being 103 days apart from the exact date of Rosh Hashanah, is right here, Mercury, giving you that 103 perfectly in English ordinal. Again, Mercury being the god of fiat money, money created out of thin air, which is all what this debt ceiling bill is about, and all this nonsense with the treasury and the debt limit. It's all fake. It's all belief. It's Fugazi, right? So speaking of Mercury, we have Mercury adding up in Chaldean to 23, and we are about to move into the 23rd week of the year tomorrow. All right, so just keep that 23 in mind. That's the 9th prime number, and 9 is a very powerful number by the code, but specifically this number 23. I was sharing information about how Michael Jordan was actually born in the year of the rabbit, and he's arguably one of the most famous athletes to ever be born in that year. Of course, there's other famous rabbit year people. I believe Bruce Lee was somebody with a little bit more wisdom and character. I love Bruce Lee quotes, by the way. That's whether he actually said those things or not, doesn't really matter to me. The wisdom is all that matters. And yeah, some really amazing quotes if you ever want to study an individual who's big on the world stage. But we were talking about the number 23. Michael Jordan wore the number 23. He was the guy who received the most prana for the Chicago Bulls, again, all tied back to Taurus, the bull. Think about this, this concept of the bull. Let's type it back in the code. Oh man, there you go. Bull equals 47. Like, how synchronized is this, man? We were just talking about the number 47 being the 15th prime. Beautiful. Okay, we gotta get back on track. We could have fun with this all day. It goes so many angles, but I was just talking about the 23rd week of the year and how we're moving into that, and this idea behind Mercury. I know I talked a little bit about the zodiac here. We're currently in Taurus until June 15th in sidereal, right? We were just talking about the bull, that's Taurus, and then moving into Gemini. Okay, now what's so significant about that? Well, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Yeah, 23rd week of the year coming soon, coming tomorrow, right? And that's all about this date, starting the 23rd week of the year, and how it's tied to this specific date by 103 years. We were just saying Mercury is 103. And look at how we got the 23 in Chaldean tied to the day of Rosh Hashanah, which has the 23 date numerology, 23 standard date numerology. And to even go, this is going super deep, but Mercury's other name, Hermes. Let me just show you a couple things, make sure I try not to just say things, it's nice to have some backup. See right there, Mercury, Hermes, sometimes considered Hermes Trismegistus, and I don't really get into too much of this stuff, saying the who's who and what's what. I usually just refer to this individual as Thoth, which is thoughts inside of your mind. And that's the wisdom behind Hermes and being the god of money, but fiat money, not real wealth. That I would give to Pluto or Hades, but that's a side note. As for Hermes being the god of fiat money, and I've said this many times to everyone, even on live streams, I say money is thoughts. That's Thoth. It's your thoughts. That's Hermes. So Hermes equals 68, and this is the 68 date numerology in the same day. It's just beautiful how coded this all is. Now, we have the next Fed meeting on the 13th and 14th, so let's quickly check those dates out. 13th being a Tuesday, and then Wednesday, the days of Mars and Mercury. This is about 5 days before the new moon. Let's talk about how this is 95 days apart from the next Fed meeting over to Rosh Hashanah. And that 95 we get in Ethereum. Right there. Now, even more interesting is 95 days is 3 months and 3 days, the 33. Just like the ticker symbol of Ethereum is ETH, gives you 33. Of course, ETH is going to be tied back to that 47 number because we have that 15 right there in full reduction. Okay. So definitely something going on by this code for this particular day, Mars Day. So I think what's only popping out to me right now to make this significant is the 201 right down here. 201, you remove the 0, that's 21. That brings you back to Saturn. Of course, this is connecting to a Saturn day, which is everything tied to Rosh Hashanah is Saturnian. One side note about the number 95, it is on the periodic table Americium, and Americium is named after America. And you can see the atomic mass, the atomic weight is 243. Now, if you guys really want to laugh, and I don't even remember how I remember this. This is something I'm really surprised I even remember. But if you type in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple all together, it equals 243. So just pretty funny that Americium, and of course, America, I've called the Garden of Eden until the next reset. And when I say reset, I'm not talking about financial reset. I'm talking about like reset of it all. And that's very controversial. A lot of people have disagreed with me on that. I really could care less. But I know I've had some intriguing conversations with Jason over at Archaics about this concept, and he seemed to really resonate with me on it. And I know I've had this similar conversation with Logan as well. And Logan over at Decode Your Reality, of course. Go check out both of those channels, a wealth of knowledge and wisdom over there. But what's making me laugh about this Americium, just with this 95 connection back to, everything else that we've been discussing, and that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple giving you the 243. This is, America really is the root of this financial world order. Whether you look at it as a trifecta between the Vatican, the City of London, and Washington, D.C., it doesn't really matter. You could even consider that we've moved that trinity to New York City and Wuhan, China, and possibly a third place, which could be in the Middle East. That's another theory to consider. We've talked about Ashgabat over in Turkmenistan and how they have a United Nations building, and one of the most Tartarian-looking, technologically advanced cities in the middle of nowhere with barely any people and all of this free energy technology. So there's so much to be said about this, but I do like having fun with the periodic table and this 95 connection back to ETH being 95 and the 243 tied back to Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Ripple. And you also see this 117 in two ciphers, by the way. And the 117 is the true date of 9/11 because September is Septem, which is 7, and 11, 7/11. That's the true date of 9/11. It's a lie to call it 9/11. But they do that on purpose. So Bitcoin also equals 117. You could see that right there by the code. And 23. And we've been talking about that a lot as well. But yeah, I definitely got a big laugh because I remember typing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple all together in English Ordinal, adding up to that exact number, and this Americium thing coming full circle. So I was talking about this 201 date. You probably heard of Event 201, which is the tabletop exercise where they just showed us straight to our face what they're going to do with C19 for those 2 years. Pretty much replicated perfectly and executed perfectly. They did a great job. Tip my hat to them for how little we are able to see through the hypnosis. The magician always shows you the trick before they perform it on you. It's pretty amazing. So getting back to the Federal Reserve, this is a gem that I found. If you take from June 14th, which is just the last day of this meeting, and I'm talking about this Fed FOMC meeting right over here, June 13th and 14th, marked in the calendar. And you also see this little asterisk next to it. It says meeting associated with a summary of economic projections. So, of course, this is going to be a more important meeting. And it's the week after this debt ceiling bill is passing. So I just want you to know that the reason I keep bringing this up is it has a significant importance because, well, this was the first time ever with a potential U.S. government default. And this will be the first meeting since that debt ceiling bill was passed just yesterday. Right? So let's type in Federal Reserve by the code. And you're going to see 143. Now, going back 143 days from this date, and you're going to see where we land. Right on Chinese New Year. So this was the start of the year of the rabbit, the 22nd day of the year, the day leaving 343 days in the year, 343, 7 times 7 times 7. Boom, 777, jackpot. It's the jackrabbit. This is very important year, guys. Like this rabbit decode, it's going to be timeless. A lot of people would benefit greatly by going and rewatching it. Whatever information is there, utilize it regarding the code. Now, there's date information talking about the eclipses and this, that, and the third, and that's all valuable as well, even if it's passed already. We've made updates as we went along, as needed, of course, and now we're piecing together more of this puzzle. We're getting more dialed in, as we should, right? You always want to be growing. You always want to be refining your process. That's part of where we become stronger as a community and don't get stuck on the hopium and false narratives and actually have more clarity in our sight. So this is a very interesting find here, how the word Federal Reserve, and you have 143 days going back from this meeting, and you're getting that. And you see right there, we're getting a 6-3 date numerology. That's the mirror of 3-6. And you could actually just consider this is June 3rd, yesterday, the day that bill was passed. And I showed you the ties back to that. So the fact that we're getting this with the Federal Reserve, it's making me feel the 143 into the 144. This could be the transition of the energy. And what I mean by that is we saw on April 14th this year, Bitcoin topped out thus far, right before the solar eclipse, which was something we thought of being a possibility because of what happened back here in this cycle. But what was giving us these anomalies was the fact that we had June be the top. The same thing back in 2016, and I've went over this many times, so you're well aware now. Okay. Earlier we were speaking about the couple more things to say. We have, let me see, okay, June 15th, the same date. We're going to tie it back to the solar eclipse we just had on April 20th, the start of the solar cycle. That's 56 days, just like Federal Reserve equals 56. Super important stuff. So just more tied into all of this. Another important 56 would be BTC in reverse cipher. You could see that right there, ticker symbol of Bitcoin. And earlier I was speaking about the number 95. Now remember Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday, April 5th. Excuse me. April 5th of this year is the 95th day of the year. Just kind of weird how Ethereum equals 95. I wonder why. Now, if you take the following day, you're going to get 72 days apart. That's leading into the weekly close right after those Fed meetings. And you guys know that those weekly closes are crucial. All right. And we were just talking about 56. The mirror of 56 is 65 tied to Federal Reserve equals 56. But these are 72 days apart. We have that big 95, that 52 being the word rabbit. Of course, Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday this year was on a 52 date numerology in the year of the rabbit. Rabbit equals 52. And 72 days apart from this day, Satoshi Nakamoto, who we're talking about, creator of Bitcoin, equals 72. Also, the word money equals 72. Anything tied to money, anything tied to Bitcoin, anything tied to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is by default going to be tied back to Mercury. But there's something that Mercury is subordinate to, right? Being the son of Jupiter, and Jupiter being the son of Saturn, and Saturn being the son of Uranus. So you want to take this code into consideration across the board, right? Uranus, 23. Bitcoin, 23. Mercury. We could keep going. 23. This is the Hebrew year. 5783 adds up to 23. Jubilee year. I talked about this in my last decode. So we are leaving the 22nd week of the year and we're moving into the 23rd week of the year tomorrow. Now, this date that we're talking about, the 13th, 14th, which are the Federal Reserve meeting days, followed by the 15th, 16th, this is a lot of energy around that week. Makes so much sense because of the Fed meeting, the FOMC meeting. Before this, I'm assuming this will bring some confidence to investors after this recent law has been passed, essentially giving the okay to we're not going to default, so have a party, stock market. And this whole upcoming trading week is a super crucial setup into those meetings. So this is a good time for us to move into the analysis. Now, we're going to be jumping straight into the bi-weekly because we have that closure. Going to be taking off all this noise, looking into our indicators. Also, about halfway through the podcast, hope you're all having an amazing time. Hope you're all taking some notes. Okay, where are we at with RSI? We're about 52. Beautiful. So we're kind of more in bullish control zone. Let's pull up some of our indicators here. We have holding the 8 simple moving average. That's really nice on the bi-weekly. So as long as we're closing at today's level above 27,000, that's looking pretty good. I mean, ideally, you would want Bitcoin to get back up above 28,900. It's sucked down into that, weekly. Into the weekly close of the stock market for whatever reason. It is what it is. But yeah, we would be in a very nice posture if we can just get back above with a bullish engulfing candle, 28,800. That's a lot to ask for, though. We have the Chicago Mercantile Exchange opening up later today. We have, this is very possible. I'm not saying it will happen, but the reason is it would be the Dow Jones, precious metals, Forex, and CME opening up with about an hour to 2 hours before this weekly close. And this is going to have an immediate reaction to Joe Biden signing that bill because the market has been closed during that time. So this is an immediate reaction to that. So yeah, it's definitely important. Okay, let's turn these off. Looking good. Okay, we're holding the 34 exponential moving average. And I think on this weekly close, we're going to get a cross of this 13 above the 21, which once the 13 starts crossing over the 21, that's the start of getting into a more bullish posture. All right. You can see over here, we had many bi-weekly candles, about four bi-weekly candles here going on 50 days, getting rejected by that 21 exponential on the bi-weekly. We've gotten above it, and thus far, after getting above it, we've been holding a support on the 34. So that looks really good, especially with that cross coming in and with above 52 RSI. So that'll pump up to about 54 on this close. MACD will start to get closer to neutral. It's very good. And we're looking at the macro right now, guys. So this is important. Okay. This is another thing that's kind of weird, and it shows you how important that these eclipses play into maneuvering, like moving this market, maneuvering it. Because if you were looking at a stock and you got a bi-weekly close above the bi-weekly close above the topside Bollinger Band after it started to constrict this much, that would be a signal green light go, to the upside. But these eclipses are really particularly impacting the crypto market. It's something about Bitcoin tied to the sun and moon and the trading 365, 24/7 with no breaks, no weekends, no days off, no holidays. These eclipses are especially special for Bitcoin. It's noticeable now. I mean, this prior solar and lunar eclipse proves it yet again, how important they are to consider as part of your overall analysis. So we're getting the weekly now. I don't like that. I don't like this potential cross to the downside on MACD on the weekly. This is flagging, though. It's starting to look a little bit like a bull flag, and that would mean on the 3-day it'd be even cleaner. Yeah, this is definitely a bull flag, which is actually good. But you can't just deny momentum oscillators. That would be the move that we're anticipating, actually. 40,000 on the nose. I've talked about that so many times, how it would be weird for us to repeat the 2016 and 2019 cycle, getting all the way up to the 786, but at least into the bottom of the golden pocket. That's 40,000. And considering Bitcoin did break above this 25K and back tested it, if we were to get a bounce above 31 and head above the 0.5 fib into like 33,000, that would be a very clean move to go back test this horizontal resistance, because in 2015, we couldn't get above it for a while. Let me just kind of show you what it is that I'm talking about. So it's right here. You see this double top, which led to a double bottom, right? Well, we couldn't get above that, but we did right here, and that was into October, November. So comparatively, this would be like October and November of 2023. I don't think we're going to look like this in October. I think it's going to be like this reversed. Not necessarily to the down, to like a huge correction for Bitcoin, depending, but for a lot of things. Remember, Bitcoin is now in a solar cycle. That's when it's in its more bullish energy. And if Bitcoin was to correct at this point, it will bring everything into an even more bearish energy even more bearish than the end of the year for a lot of the altcoins. It's just because Bitcoin has strength right now, being the power plant of the market. So I want you to see how this level right here of this double top would be very similar to right here with this double top that we had right there and right there. And when we got this big correction on March 10th into that Silicon Valley Bank fiasco and Credit Suisse and everything else that went down there, the fact that we broke out of it, like, that's really nice. And that invalidates what was going on back in 2015. We ended up going up into a more automatic rally energy because we got above the 382. That's my condition for calling automatic rally, is getting above the 382. And thus far, we've been pretty much trading around it now, going on, 80 days? Yeah, literally 80 days. So let me finish up this weekly analysis and then we'll get into some of these trend lines. But that measured move that I showed you makes a lot of sense to me. Let me turn off the drawings. All right, so the 8 simple moving average is clearly being a rejection point at this time, but the 200 simple is supporting us. So we're squeezing in between these now, going on a full month. All right, so that's why it's an important thing to bring up. 55 simple is starting to flatline a little bit, curving slightly up, which I like to see. I want to see all of these moving averages in an upward sloping position. Yeah, but that MACD worries me. I don't like that. I'm just going to be honest. I don't like that. All right. Let's get to what we're seeing here. Okay, this is really nice. So we're in bullish posture completely on the weekly chart with Bitcoin, with the 13 above the 21 above the 34 regarding the exponential moving averages. This is really good that we're continuing to hold on the 13 EMA. Now, what we want to see is a bounce. Like, we would really like to start closing above 30,500 again. It's a lot at this point. That'd be an additional 12%. So if that was to happen, it would look noticeable and it'd be some volume to come along with it. But we've had like dog shit volume lately. Really super low volume. Just going to check the Bollinger Bands to see what's up. Okay, yeah. Same story, kind of getting rejected on the top set band. We've back tested the median band, so that's good. And now we're squeezing a little bit. Yep, volatility's coming. With about 80 to 90 days of horizontal trading, this is about the time frame to expect Bitcoin to make a move. It's coming soon. So we want our bi-weekly close to hold. Essentially, holding and closing green is good enough. Getting above 27,000 is fine. I mean, above 28,600 would be a gift. That'd be really nice. Anything's possible, especially with what I told you earlier about the market opening up and immediately reacting to this debt ceiling bill. Now, let's check out the 5-day, because that closes today as well. So this is a very important closure because we have a 5-day. And that condition getting above 27,800, which is only a couple percent from here, it's about 2%, 3% to the upside, would definitely make this look like a bottoming structure, okay? Because this does look like it's bowling out. And in Wyckoff, what you would have is a buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally, spring. And after your spring, you have an SOS, a sign of strength, and those are very nice to have. You could use fibs to determine your SOS. You just get above the golden pocket. But yeah, 8 simple moving average giving us rejections. That's right in alignment with what I told you earlier, kind of popping up just a little bit into this weekly close. The 5 days looking good, just like the weekly, you'd assume. We're holding the 21 exponential on the 5 day, so that's really solid. Starting to close below the 21 exponential on the 5 day, yeah, then you'd start to anticipate moves into the 25,000 range. But right now, we're seeming pretty good. Okay, 3-day and 2-day closures are coming in tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow's close, it would be nice to at least start trading back into like 28. That's a lot. But these moving averages are starting to coil up together and showing a resistance, and they've pretty much been a resistance going back to May 11th. So for the whole last month, we've been struggling at this 27,000 level, just kind of zigzagging along it. And you guys have heard the same story over and over again, so I'm not trying to bore you here, but I'm trying to give you as much information as possible so that you could apply it to your analysis on whatever it is that you're looking at. This is very thorough stuff that I'm sharing right now. Yeah, Today's daily close green above 27.5. Very nice. It's kind of the same energy and getting back above 50 RSI. Yeah, that 55. Okay, so this is the last thing I'll say on Bitcoin, and then we'll move on. Downside targets are anything closing below 26,200. You're going to swipe to the daily 200 EMA, which would be a full back test of this fractal right here and this area right here, which was that double top range that I talked about earlier. Less likely to happen at this time because we've moved out of the full moon, and this is where we start to be on a more bullish trajectory moving into the new moon. You guys have heard it before. We have this 55 simple on the upside that's clearly showing resistance. So get above that 55 simple, and I think 30K will be in the cards very soon. So that 55 simple needs to get breached, and then a wolf cross where this 8 and the 55 cross. Now on the 12 hour, we're snaking along. So you're really going to want to look for your 8 hour or 12 hour crosses. But until we're getting into 30K, there's really nothing that exciting going on. We just continue to bounce over and over and over again. But 30K daily close conditions will be met. For continuation, let's look at Ethereum. It's the same exact story, so we're not going to spend too much time on this. I kind of want to skip right over to XRP. Pretty much the same analysis. The daily's looking pretty nice with this 8 simple crossing above that 55 simple, and all of our EMAs are in bullish posture right now on Ethereum. So ETH is looking pretty damn good. Let's look at the biweekly just to quickly see what's up. Beautiful. I mean, this could potentially be... If Ethereum could get above $1,935, it would be the highest 2-week closure in 380 days, a year. That would be great. That'd be a huge sign that ETH might have the juice to outdo its automatic rally of 2019. And that 55 simple on the 2-week is my target right there at 2,330. That's it. That'd be perfect. And I think we've talked about that before with the fibs. Let me just show you what I mean. Sorry for the noise. Oh, deleted the wrong one. Boom. So what I'm talking about is this area right between the 0.5 and the 618, and it would be kind of into this trend line. It's a little late, but yeah, kind of right there into the top of this trend line. One more rejection. Let me show you on the daily what that trend line looks like. Okay, and you're going to see, look at how many rejections we were getting along this trend line before we had this up thrust after like a potential moving into a distribution, which ended up being correct. Getting above that 0.5 fib though, that would be a key target to get to right there, about 2,300 rejected into the end of June, which we've talked about the solstice. You guys have heard me say it before. Looking really good. Oh, and look at this trend line that I had drawn. I didn't even think of that. I would call that back tested. That looks fair to me. I mean, we're working with an altcoin that's traded on leverage, so obviously you're going to have that kind of stuff. But we have rejection here, and then short-term rejection, final 12-hour close, getting above it, breaking out, back testing, and now you'd really want to see 12-hour closures above 1980, and then this is your automatic rally area to break. So you have buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally, spring, and then this would be your test zone that we're in right now, which leads you to your SOS. Fantastic. $2,300 ETH could be in the cards by the end of the month easily. I know that's a lot, might seem like a lot to some people, but that's only 20% up. Ethereum could go up 20% in 2 days. This isn't moon boy stuff. This is just how this asset moves. Okay, so let's move on. Downside conditions is your 382, but I've said that many times. XRP, what's going on? Mamma mia, these horizontal trend lines. I mean, I was going to make a joke the other day about the Bart Simpson heads, but it's like we have the whole Simpsons family here with us now. This thing keeps doing these Bart heads. And now that we're moving up again, it's like, okay, man, just break out, like you've shook out enough of these traders. And, little side note to make, I use Twitter for about 60 seconds a day to just quickly check in on things and post if necessary. And the days that I don't post, I don't use it at all. And within that 60 seconds that I use it, I see easily like 10 new posts on the explore page of people saying Bitcoin to $27 like in July 3rd. I'm like, what? Like, this is all it is. This is all Twitter is. Like, let's try it real quick just for fun. Like, will I find exactly the thing that I keep seeing all the time? Right here. Like, analysts forecast XRP price to $92. That's 10 days from today. What's going on, family? It's like Twitter's algorithm is so interesting. If you hashtag something, I don't know how to use this, by the way. I'm like Patrick Starr living under a rock. Anyways, man. Yeah, I see posts like that $92 one. In like 30 seconds, I've found like 3 of them one time. It's like, what are people talking about? Do people believe this shit? I don't know. Ooh, okay. And people said my 83-cent target was far-fetched. I'm like, well, that's a technical target at least. So, all right. We have a lot of trend lines going on, so I'm just going to break them down one by one. We had this horizontal trading range here for this first BART head iteration. We came back into the bottom of it, its prior potential support, got treated as a resistance, but then this W pattern broke out, and now we've back tested the same exact area with a very bullish bounce and somewhat of an inverse head and shoulders pattern, sending us off the back test of this 236 into the same resistance trend line. 54 cents is an issue for XRP for whatever reason. It's been having a lot of trouble there at 54 cents. So again, we need to get it back above that level. And then I have this alternate trend line, which I'm going to show you with like an area chart so you could kind of make sense of it. I'm going to bring it into a weekly for everyone. And it's going to make a little bit more sense why that red trend line is there. Okay, so we have the weekly right now, which is much more important than looking at a daily. And we have 1, 2, 3 rejections off of this particular trend line. And because it's an area chart, there's no wicks. That's why I like it. Now, it's only closures is what I mean. Now, not only are we potentially about to close a new weekly high today, if we can close above like 53.536, we're moving. All right. And this trend line really would be ideal. So if we can get a weekly close above this, we'd be breaking this resistance trend line, which has been in place since the current cycle high, 800 days ago. Mamma mia. Okay. So big deal. Getting into this 382 territory would signal your automatic rally. And I would assume that our automatic rally could look in a similar fashion like here. Pretty sharp move. It's what this asset does. You know, you guys have seen it before. Now, I had some really interesting analysis on this with regards to I think it was the 55 simple and the 200. Let me turn off all this noise because it's impossible to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to turn a couple things off for you guys so you can see what I mean. Boom. I think I want it to be there, and it's on the 2-day. Yes. Okay, perfect. I just want to revisit this for everyone. I really enjoyed this gem that I found, and I shared it with you when I found it. It's the 2-day chart and the 200 simple moving average and the 55 simple moving average. And you can see right here, we got a cross with the 55 above the 200 simple, which led to your first impulse move. This was leading into the flare airdrop. I believe XRP would have went up regardless. Now the dump that you see following it was the Black Swan event with the lawsuit between the SEC and Ripple. And then what you have is maintaining this posture of the white moving average above this green moving average, leading into that, extension. And that was because everything else went up, so it's not like special. Everything did this around this exact time. Now, what you can see here is we had a downside cross where this 55 went below that 200 simple and we got rejected off of jumping up back into it, and then another rejection, even on a slightly, okay, we could just call that a double top short term. It's official. I'd call it official because it's at least about a month and a half. And then this M pattern, which breaks bullish, and I teach this in my advanced trading course. Now, what I'm really want to get to here is the fact that we've just made this cross again. And it was right back here, the first time we've made that cross in 960 days. And I'm talking about an upside cross, a cross where the 55 or the faster term moving average gets above the slower moving average, if that's the way you want to analyze it. I'm just trying to speak in simple terms because I want to help as many people as possible with this. So now when we get over this structural high from the prior fractal, which would be breaking above this level right here around 58 cents, we could have ascendant moment, and if you look from this top level right there to where we went, it was about 142% to the upside. I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're going to go 142% up. At best, we could probably get into this low 80-cent range, and then I would like to see at least $1. The reasoning behind $1, it's a flat psychological level. I think that a lot of professional traders would have their sell orders right there. The degen players, like the people that are just like, they have no idea what they're doing and they don't know how to de-risk at all, probably are going to get fleeced at that $1 mark. So I'm not saying this to ruin anyone's day or to hurt anyone's feelings. Is it possible that we go higher than $1? Of course we can. We get smashed right through that wall if all XRP investors were serious about it, but that's not how it goes. That's why these BART heads keep happening time and time again. So you got to play it safe on this. If we do get a violent breakout on XRP, you need to make sure you have those limit orders set. So yeah, I'm personally looking to de-risk somewhere around that $80 to $1.10 range. It would be very interesting if we started getting above the $1.10 range. So let me show you on the fibs what I'm getting into, and that's the 702 fib. It's technically about where we like to go on an automatic rally breakout. Now, unless there was some isolated event that occurs specifically for XRP, like the lawsuit ending, yeah, then we could talk about higher targets. But until then, you want to definitely play conservative. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just feeling like XRP is about to break out, and this is really the time for it to do such. So back at the prior cycle here, and we can see that, okay, yeah, we actually did break bullish into the end of June, but not nearly as much. And it kind of makes sense because this super cycle between February 2017 and January, less than 1 year, it went up 70,000%, 60,000%. So yeah, to have a bigger sell-off and a less dramatic automatic rally is to be expected. And that's not just for XRP. That'd be any asset that has had a fucking 70,000% gain, A lot of people forget that bull run. So yeah, I hope this update is helpful. We do have a couple of things that are showing a bullish breakout is in the cards. I hope that additional analysis with the 55 simple and the 200 simple moving average on the 2-day chart was helpful, just to give you a clean idea. And then that weekly chart analysis in area with this trend line, potential break there into, around 58 cents, you'd be meeting two conditions. Getting back above that level I was telling you about before, which is signal a breakout. And on this weekly we have right now, we're technically close to closing a new weekly high. So let me turn off everything and just look at the candles, and you'd see what I mean. We're at a high right now. Getting above 533 would technically be a high. All right, so this is interesting. Let's see how this plays out, but it's definitely in the process of something exciting, or else it's just another Bart Simpson head. That'd be extremely disappointing. We're now looking at Cosmos Atom. All-time chart. Okay, not bad. We're looking at the weekly, by the way. Okay, this is your C19 crash. The lows that we've set in this selling climax are way above that level, so that's a positive thing. I'm liking that in the macro sense. We have some charts like Litecoin that we're trading into their C19 levels, so that's kind of why I'm bringing that up. If you see anything that's trading back into those March 2020 levels, it's not where you want to be focused. Words of wisdom. Okay, so you see a clear trend here with this 55 simple moving average and how it liked to ride that throughout the finality of its run. And then once it started to break weeklies and have that wolf cross to the downside, it went on a dramatic slide. Lost about 80% of its value in 2 months. So how much total did it lose? Okay, very good. It's only lost about 87%, so that's much better than like Ethereum lost 95% on its first bull run. Okay, but I don't think it gained as much as so yeah, that makes sense for sure. Okay, the top structure looked very complex. To get out on this would have been but it gave you a lot of opportunity. So even though it was a complicated moment up here, gave you an opportunity. And I have this level marked for a reason. Let me pull some fibs. So we have identified buying climax, selling climax. That could be your automatic rally already. This could be toasted. Like where it's trading at now is like la la land. It's kind of just floating between this 382, 236. Closing below that 236, you have double bottom. So I would assume that's in the cards leading into later this year. Could see a $5 Cosmos later this year if we do get a dramatic sell-off, which I assume could be noticeable by August. And then that 426 level is just your overall horizontal trading range support. Excuse me. Yeah, I've been talking a lot lately, so I've been over drinking some different teas, like herbal teas, and it's giving me a little bit of like, I'm just doing the best I can for my voice, because I did the podcast, the decode. I'm doing the podcast now. I did that 3-hour live stream yesterday. And by the way, shout out to anyone who joined. It was a dope live stream as usual. But yeah, my voice, I'm on recovery mode and it's no time to recover. So this chart isn't looking that bad, but I do feel that could have been your automatic rally back here. When was the last time that we reviewed this? I have no idea. It's a pretty sharp move that we've had. But yeah, I mean, with 3 rejections and lower highs, that's not looking great. Back testing slightly below the 236 and holding this level right now is fine. You really need to get some energy going in, and I'd assume that the volume on this is super low right now. Yeah, dude, crazy low volume. So nobody cares about this project. I mean, I know this is only on Coinbase, but still, it's a pretty big exchange. I'm sure if I surfed other exchanges, though, it would make so much sense why this is trading the way it is at this time. It's like a lull after having a couple of swipes into this $15 level, which is your 0.5 fib, and that's your dead cat bounce area. So that's not safe. When you're getting multiple rejections there, the next thing to see could be that dead cat bounce play, which could break your lower target into lower lows, about $4. So this could definitely go much lower because it's only had an 87% sell-off. We do get much, much larger corrections in crypto. And if we bring it down to this horizontal level right there that I had drawn, that would give you about only a 90% correction. So that'd be still within reason of what we typically see in cryptocurrency. 95 to 98% corrections are normal here. That could be a good investment opportunity though, if it was to get down to those levels. Because anyone who was buying these sub, $4 levels on Cosmos at that time, it's a pretty handsome move, at least 1,000% into a lot of these fractals up here. Okay, really nothing to say on this unless it breaches the 0.5 fib above $15. And if Bitcoin's to have one more move up, this could definitely get sent into the $20 level. I play a conservative though. I'd probably put it at like 19 to just be safe, but 19 to 20 could be the next impulse if we're going to see, more bullish energy in the altcoins. And I filled you in on the downside targets as well. Okay, now we're moving into LCX. That's the full name of this coin. Okay, so we're looking at a daily chart right now. We have, about almost 2 years of data. It's been on a free fall since launch. You see right there, 95% losses. That's very normal. This could have been your automatic rally already. That looks like one. It's very sharp. Yep, that's it. That's your automatic rally, and now it's in the process of breaking down through the 236, and a double bottom is in play. And this is weird, right? Because you see the way that a lot of other coins are acting right now. They're trading either around their 382 or at least above their 236. And this project has steadily been selling off through the 236. And I guess I've done TA on this before because I had this level marked. I'm not sure when the last time I covered this coin was, but it's there. So beautiful. It got sucked right down to those levels. And it's pretty obvious because if you see where I made that horizontal ray, it's 180 days of holding support at 5 cents. And then we only had this short moment where the selling climax V-shaped recovery directly into an automatic rally, which is the typical Wyckoff cycle. What happens next is either a double bottom or a spring, especially on an asset like this with no chart history that's been on price discovery to the downside since launch. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you who are aware of this coin have done your research. You're aware of where it stands in your investment thesis. But with these types of projects, I would not want over 2% of my portfolio dedicated to this. I would go with 1%, keep it venture capital, feel safe about the long-term play. But these are the types of things that go to zero. Just being super, super honest with everyone. Just look at the chart, it has no stability whatsoever. And whenever it's bullish, like this type of bullish energy is blow off top vibes. Like it has no structure, just Christmas tree. I don't like to see that. So it's not even oversold and it's trading into 5 cents. Interesting chart, but ugly chart. Really nothing positive to say about this. I'd be very surprised if it could even come back up into 10 cents again, even if Bitcoin was to recover, just because of the way this has been behaving. We're going on to Algorand right now. Ooh. Okay. What is going on here, dude? Wow. Okay. We have something to talk about here. Remember what I was telling you guys about C19 levels? This thing is trading into the C19 levels. It's breaking into new lows in its sell-off. Okay, I'm going to break it down one by one. I have a bearish fib pull from this level right here up to this current high in that cycle, and it shows you the 1618. The 1618 is so important on the downside as much as it is on the upside. When we're using this though, we want to make sure that we have the logarithmic chart turned on, and we want to make sure that we have the log setting turned on in the fib pull. So on the fib retracement tool, you want to go ahead and click this on, fib levels based on log scale. Now look at how bad this is. We traded into the 1618. We were trading at that level for 155 days. Then we sold off through it, came into the 1618, and now started to treat it as a resistance. And it's a confirmed resistance now because we started to break lower than the prior lows. This is not, that's not good at all. What is this? 95% down. Yeah. Wow. What is going on with this project? I hear so many good things about this. Like this is one of those where like the XRP army type people and like a lot of those sort of influencers talk about it. I don't know what they're saying about it. I don't really do that kind of thing. I'm more esoteric. I do my decoding. You guys know what I'm up to, but yeah, I've heard so many positive things, and this is just the chart tells me a different story. And I look at charts. I don't care what anyone has to say about how good the company is, the team behind it, all this, that, and the third. I've always been very adamant that there's a mythological story behind all this, whether it's planned, pre-planned, scripted, doesn't matter to me. Knowing the decoding system is all that's necessary to be able to determine what you're going to do with these plays. And then the chart backs it up. So even if the code looks good on my end, if the chart looks horrifying, you have to be honest. This is not looking good. Like, I mean, we are trading at the levels of March 19th during the biggest event of our lifetimes. And it's trading down there now. So where does it go next? 10 cents? You know, it could fill this wick from the C19 crash easily. Why not? It can't be bullish at all at this time while everything has been in the process of recovery at this level. When we're talking about a coin like Algorand, this is not good. This is horrifying. Just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, horrible. All right, I mean, I really don't know what to say about this. This thing is holding on like a loose tooth, you know? Somebody's got to pull it already. This thing could definitely drop sub 10 cents and it could get nasty. I mean, I just want you guys to be aware, like if we make it through October and this thing is still trading at 15 cents, where do you think it's going next? Like, it could start trading into 8 cents. I mean, damn. Yeah, super interesting. Again, be careful with this kind of stuff, man. This chart is not looking good. Now, for some people, this might be an investment opportunity of a lifetime. When you're getting this type of oversold reaction, clearly retail selling their bags. Unless there's been some bad news, something that has occurred exoterically that I'm not aware of, let me know in the comments. I would love to know more. Now let's move on. We have XDC. Ooh, harsh rejection on that. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so we have a very nice amount of chart data to work with here. We have, look, just to give you guys a difference of chart, this is the C19 price of XDC. It is 5,000% higher than that level comparatively to what we were looking at in the Algorand chart. So we haven't even traded down into this fractal yet. So that's the one scary thing about XDC is if XDC does start trading below 0.18, it could free fall straight to 1 penny flat, perfectly at a penny. But when you look at this peak right here, for whatever reason, that peak of April 18th or April 22nd, 2018, we touched perfectly on that level right there, like perfectly, and then bounced. Now we are in the process of trying to do an automatic rally, but we're not in an automatic rally right now. Let me just make sure I double check this. Correct. Okay. The reason we're not in an automatic rally on this just yet is because we're not above the 382. We have to get above that level, and we've gotten rejected right below it with a pretty harsh sell-off. Now, something happened a couple days ago because you see this green candle, 17%, followed by a candle that has like, I mean, on the day, this project was up an additional 13%, and then it sold off with this huge wick down 12%. Now it's slowly selling off from that. So there must have been some sort of narrative specific to this project. It's clear in the chart. Next would be your 236. And if you can't hold that, you're going down into you're going right down into that horizontal support there at 0.26. So yeah, this isn't looking that great either. But we are technically making higher highs and higher lows on everything since June 2020. So 2022, excuse me, 1 full year ago. And what I mean by that is we have a low here, higher low, technically still holding a higher low. Then we have here is our high, and we broke above that high multiple times. So if we can get one more impulse back above the 382, I think that's what would be needed to facilitate a move to 6 cents, right there at your 0.5 fib. Will it go higher? I have no idea, because the bull run on this was ridiculous. I mean, 35,000% ridiculous. So you don't expect a crazy automatic rally on a project that had this type of bull run. I mean, 0.5 fib would be a gift. It did get a 90% sell-off though, but even that's pretty solid because we saw much more popular projects with way more prana coming to it lose way more percent on this selling climax. But I don't like this chart at all, to be honest. Like, it did really well in the bull run, but this is not giving me confidence. It's too choppy, too awkward. Yeah, I don't like the chart. But isn't it an investment opportunity? I suppose. I mean, damn. If you were involved in this shit back then in 2019, good for you. You could still be in the worst of this cycle, but comparatively, you're up thousands of percent. So who cares, right? It's like being in Dogecoin year after year after year. I mean, every 4 years, that project is continuing to step up. And I'm not talking about the coin itself. I just mean the chart, the price. So yeah, this could be an opportunity into the fall, but I would like to see it fall to 1 cent. That would make me feel a little better about maybe building a bag in that. Just adjust these real quick, and then we're going to finish this off on quick thoughts with Zilliqa, because I said I have a little fractal thing to show you guys. All right, so we have a little firmament dome. We haven't talked about the firmament in a while. We have these sorts of domes we used to talk about all the time, and when we had the January buyback and this back test here into March 10th, since this lower high, we've actually held these supports and continuing, slight recovery, I suppose, but this was a pretty brutal sell-off recently. Now, for some people who are brand new to the game, they might think that this is like horrible, but the reason the OGs here are emotionless towards this kind of stuff is this is just how crypto moves. This is how projects move. But going back to the idea here that I've been talking about, the prior charts, here is your C19 levels. This is your somewhat level to consider around that C19 buyback. And Zilliqa is still sitting about 500% above those levels. Whilst we saw Algorand, trading literally at these same levels. This, on the other hand, has had a very dramatic sell-off since this double top, huge macro double top between 2018 and 2021. My last sell order was actually here. I know it was crazy, but I actually did have I had a sell order set. I screen capped it and shared it with the community on the day that it happened. It was miraculous. But yeah, it came from my exit strategy blueprint that I made. One of those higher levels. That was my last sell order. I got wicked in it in my sleep. It's pretty wild. And I started to build a little bit of a position here around this time frame, and then I saw this dome shape. This is intriguing me now. So if I do this one by one, I'm seeing a little bit of a W. We have a neckline here right at this 236. Getting above that 236 would also be sort of popping you out of this firmament dome. And that could be what it takes to send us into the next higher level on the macro fib, which would be the 382 right here, about 0.04 cents. Now, that would also be in alignment with this 1618 in the shorter fib pull. I just have a swing high to swing low fib pull. Got your 1618 there, about 5 cents. The 5 cent level is crucial, and I'll show you why. I'm just going to do a horizontal ray. About 5 cents right here technically. And you're going to see we have the first support there, blow off, return right to that red line, bull trap, come back down right to that line. Then we started to sell off from it, came up, rejected. Now this was an anomaly. This had something to do with specifically Zilliqa. So it was going ham. But then you could see we sold off right to that line again, traded, got rejected, and then we have not been there since. So it's right around like 0.55, 0.56. That's right there below the 0.5 fib. So if this is going to have an automatic rally, you're going to probably see a jump up to that around that level. It's a little bit dramatic though. That would be 140% move, off these types of levels here. I don't even think that happened in the last cycle. We only got about an 80% move off that bottom. So we have to see how this goes, but I'm feeling like we're probably across the board going to get a lot of these coins moving similar percentages, similar moves. That's why they sold off similar amounts. Be interesting to see how this goes and where ZIL fits into it. But this firmament dome could be a play here. And then I do have this wedge that's a very long-term play, showing all these supports back here, a little bit of resistance, rejection, which led to your selling climax. Then since we've actually broken out of it and we have the same energy going here where you have your resistance, this is your anomaly, and then resistance, we've actually broken out of it since. And on March 10th, same day Silicon Valley Bank failed, we back tested it. So it's really nice, and it'd be interesting to see if we do have some sort of leaving this descending huge wedge pattern. I mean, it's really long term. Like we're talking about descending falling wedge that's 700 days. Mamma mia. But yeah, this is just interesting little firmament dome that we're having in the short term, and it would be nice to see Zilliqa get back above that 236, but ideally we just want to be making highs in the structure. 382 or above is your automatic rally, and then I do see the 0.5055 area being where we should start to get initial resistance if we do have an automatic rally. So we're going to hold off on covering this coin for some time because there's really no need to. We've talked about it so much, and I do have a bag of Zilliqa, so if I start to see some of these upside targets, I will be de-risking for sure. I don't want to hold this thing forever. It's a quick play, and got to just trade it. Don't hate it, don't date it, just trade it. So final thoughts, we do have super volatile weekly close. I'm gonna imagine, with the first full trading day ahead since this new debt ceiling bill has been passed. Just gotta allow tomorrow to be what it is. Probably better for most people to just not look at their screen. Take the day off, go hang out in Mother Nature, go hang out with your family. The volatility is probably going to be off the scale. I'm sure it's going to be very choppy, very weird, and lots of news, lots of narratives coming out left, right, center. So just stay calm, stay zen, and maybe take the time to study a little more about the market. And if it's a super bullish day tomorrow, then fine. We'll see. This could be what actually sends us into the finality of this automatic rally we're anticipating for Bitcoin above 30,000, hopefully into the mid 30,000. I would really like to see 40K though. And as for XRP, that is towing the line as we speak. Talked about it in the analysis today. That 53-54 cent level is definitely close to getting breached. So we're going to leave it at that. I hope you guys had an amazing, amazing weekend. Wishing you all an amazing rest of your weekend in the Matrix. Much love.